There's only ever been one man in the world who has raced death and won. That man being none other but Jeremy Clarkson.
I know Hammond and May think my 928 Porsche is a bit dull. But for one very good reason, it isn't dull to me.
A lot of you guys know Jeremy from the hit show Topgear, where they do various stunts, they test various cars. But when Jeremy did a segment about his late father, it took a lot more of an emotional turn. The show is usually kind of upbeat and happy, they're doing funny, goofy stuff. But there's one story that sticks out the most, and that story is when Jeremy Clarkson talks about his late father, who he barely got to see before he passed.
You see, back in 1994, I was living in London. I got a call one evening from my mum to say that my dad was desperately ill in a hospital in Sheffield and I needed to get there as quickly as possible.
And after he got the call, he hopped in the Porsche 928 and he started to get on his way. He had to go from London, where he was living, all the way to Sheffield, which was apparently 3 or so hours away. He got there in 1 hour.
And I had a 928 on test that week. And when I arrived in Sheffield, the chicken was still warm. And my dad was still alive. In fact, he died half an hour later.
He was going around 170 miles per hour. And he states that if he wasn't sitting in a car that was stable at 170 miles per hour, then he wouldn't have gotten the chance to say goodbye to his dad. And as far as he's concerned, the Porsche 928 is alright.
And the truth is, if I hadn't have been driving a car which could sit quite happily at 170 miles an hour, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to say goodbye to my dad. So as far as I'm concerned, the 928 is all right.
The 928 was one of those cars that had to prove that it was worthy of carrying the Porsche name. People didn't really like it back then. Some people like it now. I like it, of course. But it was one of those things that just had to prove its name. And for Jeremy Clarkson, that definitely proved that it had what it took to be a Porsche. That gets me to my next topic. I feel like a lot of people, a lot of non-car people, they look at cars as just hunks of metal. But car people, whether you just like looking at them or you like watching videos about them, or if you actually drive and build cars, they're not just hunks of metal to us. I look at them more as emotion containers. Like the little screen capsules from Monsters Inc. I look at them like that. Even with a little NPC car, my Honda Accord, it's not exactly the car that gets you going, it's the emotions that are tied with that car. You could look at your car and you could think of, oh, it's just a boring car, or you could look at it as in, I've had so many fun memories in this thing. I've had my first date in this thing, stuff like that. The story really is a real tearjerker. And it sucks. And it really does kind of hit close to home because, and I'm sorry, I know my little sisters are going to watch this and I don't want to make you guys sad, but for those of you that don't know, I lost my grandfather early this year and it has been pretty hard on me. I get sad a lot. But having this experience really helps you put into perspective how other people might feel during things like this. Jeremy Clarkson, he was barely able to see his father for the last time, and he was the one who raced time and death, and he won. Well, that's it. The man who raced death and won, he's still kicking today, thankfully. He is getting pretty old now, He's an old British guy now. But he won the race, and this story is very sad, but it tells you about the fragility of life. And it also, like I said, it tells you about how grateful you should be and how you should be taking those chances that you could always take, Don't let any chance go untaken. Thank you guys for watching. This video was a little bit more emotional, not too sad, but it was more serious. Thank you guys for watching, and hope you guys have a good day.